A Justified Faith. Preface. What do we all know? What can we all agree upon as common objective fact as we gaze out at a beautiful sunset, and then turn to observe one animal devouring another? Surely it's the fact that there is a universe of some kind. What we postulate and hypothesize beyond that simple fact is where we differ and where the facts become less clear. I have written this book to challenge what appears to me the deeply unjustified faith of the majority around me, Christianity, and to express an alternative that I will argue actually is a justified faith to hold in this world, taking account of all of its facts, which is secular humanism, a belief in the potential of humanity achieved through reason, science, and compassion. Given the fact that faith in Christianity is still so pervasive, despite its centuries long humbling decline, it will be necessary to spend the majority of this book laying out just how unjustified this faith is. The reasons range from moral to factual, from the content of the history and scripture of the religion to issues of science and the nature of the universe we observe. Throughout my analysis, I will conversely support my contention of the far greater justifiability of the faith that I hold, and I will conclude the work by laying it out in full detail. If the reader disagrees with me, I hope at least that they come away with a better, far more accurate understanding of what millions of their fellow humans think and believe than what they would have if they just consumed assertions and speculations of their pastors and others of their own ilk. This is my contribution to the dialogue and to progress, and an expression of years of learning and reflection. Chapter 1: How I Got Here. Through the reading of popular scientific books, I soon reached the conclusion that much in the stories in the Bible could not be true. The consequence was a positively fanatic orgy of free thinking. It is quite clear to me that the religious paradise of youth, which was thus lost, was a first attempt to free myself from the chains of the merely personal, from an existence dominated by wishes, hopes, and primitive feelings. Out yonder there was this huge world which exists independently of us human beings, and which stands before us like a great eternal riddle, at least partially accessible to our inspection and thinking. The contemplation of this world beckoned as a liberation, and I soon noticed that many a man whom I had learned to esteem and to admire had found inner freedom and security in his pursuit. The mental grasp of this extra-personal world within the frame of our capabilities presented itself to my mind half consciously, half unconsciously as a supreme goal. Similarly motivated men of the present and the past, as well as the insights they achieved, were the friends who could not be lost. The road to this paradise was not as comfortable and alluring as the road to the religious paradise, but it has shown itself reliable, and I have never regretted having chosen it. Albert Einstein, Autobiographical Notes. The dirt of the Near East versus the vastness of the cosmos. Cannibalistic blood magic versus the magic of the universe. Slavery and guilt versus freedom and wonder. Dogma versus evidence, human sacrifice versus humanity, fear and threat of torment versus genuine love and care. These are a few of the differences I see between a Christian versus a humanistic scientific worldview. How did I get here? To begin with, I was born into Christianity. It was not something I sought out for myself and found convinced of its truth. I was baptized out of fear at the wise and informed age of 12. The very opposite of turning my back on God, actual study of the Bible and Christianity is a large factor and what led me to put the stories back in the book and see the world anew. If I retrace it back at its root, the cause of my rejection of it was simple: fair, unbiased objectivity. This came via things such as documentaries on science and history which touched upon Christianity but treated it objectively, scholarly, and equally with other religions and belief systems, not taking for granted as true its story and claims. This simple perspective, to the best of my recollection, opened my mind. I have found both science and history to be so fatal, factually and morally, to Christianity and religion in general, that has sparked a great desire to share these revelations with the largely unknowing people around me and the largely unknowing public in general. which studies have consistently shown know little about their own religion and curiously show little interest in learning anything. The masses fare no better regarding history or science. Gradually, what set things on fire was the explicit arguments of great thinkers past and present, including those of the New Atheist movement that were so strong they just demolished the opposition. These two, like their arguments, many people have never been exposed to, and again much else, so that they have only a partial and biased perspective of things, residing in a Christian echo chamber, indoctrinated from birth, their religion being bound up deeply with their parents, those they love, trust, and rely on, who have repeated what their parents did to them. Yet how you were raised might not be right or good. Most don't even realize not believing, or pretending to believe, this religion is an option. It cannot be underestimated how strong a factor this is. To not listen to and seek all knowledge and opinions, to be as informed as possible in order to be able to objectively weigh it all, is to not care about truth and about being as sure as possible that you're on the best path to it. But regarding religion, people don't truly question it and they've been taught not to. Their own religion tells them not to. Doubt, testing, exposure to other beliefs are branded dangers that imperil their souls. As I've found, they definitely do endanger religious belief, which is why religions prohibit them. People think with their heart, the bonds of which were forged without their will or awareness, and they often do not use their head to scrutinize the situation. Yet truth will withstand scrutiny. It cannot be said that I'm unaware of Christian arguments and Christian apologetics. I've actually become quite familiar with those arguments and the Christian names who make them, virtually none of whom I was familiar with before. I have seen many debates. I have taken the other side and their claims seriously. And this has led me to the conclusion that many don't even deserve to be. Their every argument fails, and like religion itself, they merit not a bit of trust. I remember the presence in my life of religion before my paradigm shift, but never did I really study it. It was there like air. It was part of culture. I looked it in the face rarely. I can remember only a time or two, such as once comparing evolution and Genesis and wondering if perhaps they're both somehow true. Now I notice religion and religiosity everywhere, having been fully awakened to it. I've been on my own orgiastic journey of learning, my thirst for knowledge fully activated, not just regarding religion, but on a plethora of topics. Now, like Thomas Jefferson, I cannot live without my books, without getting lost in mental conversations with long dead minds, hearing their thoughts through time, being transported to other places and times. To me, knowledge fills in the picture of life in the world, enhances and enriches it, adds depth and color, connects the dots of otherwise free-floating, random, or mundane observances and facts into a grand tapestry of connecting stories. I don't want to be defined solely by my non-belief in gods or religion. I'd like to, and like to see humanity completely get onto, other things. However, my interest in related or intersecting subjects, the deep, substantive kinds, and the constant bombardment I experience of the arrogant, certain religiosity of others makes it pretty difficult. Although the Bible, after years of study and reflection, is akin to the Odyssey of Homer to me, it's the most important object to ever exist for the majority of those around me. I live in the American South, and while I'm proud that there is now actually a lot that's modern and cosmopolitan around me, there are also still churches on every corner, Jesus is Lord stickers on a third of the cars on the road, like leeches on the mental body of a non-believer, reminding him of how far the world has to go before it gets to where he would like to see it. Because to reiterate, he's not my Lord. I neither have nor want any Lord, and it's not just a matter of disbelief. In other areas in life, we rather easily call out the ridiculous and the immoral. Many Christians do good. Most Christians are decent people, and there is good to be found in this religion. Yet still, for me, there is nothing more fatally blemished by its absurdity and immorality than Christianity. I shall endeavor to lay out why.